In the previous lecture, we entered into the tribal life to understand their various practices related to marriage and choice of mates, etc. In this lecture, we will now go into the little technical details of birth rate, death rate, medical care, etc. Regarding health, beliefs, customs and practices of the tribal people have a very crucial role to play. Much of what happens in the life of the people, and particularly in the life of a woman who has to bear children and rear the children, health practices and beliefs and customs and practices surrounding the practices of health care become very crucial. From this angle, one particular aspect of tribal practice has come to be noted by all demographers who have tried to study this aspect among the tribal people, that is, the extent of consanguineous marriages taking place among the people in a tribal community. Consanguineous, sanguine means blood. Therefore, consanguineous marriage means marriage taking place between a man and a woman who both belong to the same blood group of the particular group. That is, they are related to each other by blood even before marriage. Demographers have noted that consanguineous marriages contribute to increased probability of abortions, miscarriages, stillbirths, neonatal deaths, infant and juvenile deaths, and susceptibility to infections, sometimes leading to congenital deformities with which the child happens to be born. We will now get into one crucial aspect of woman's life when it comes to family life, that is the age at marriage. The first thing we need to note in tribal life, which is rather common to most tribes in India, is that virginity is not highly valued as a virtue. In fact, a girl is supposed to be ready for sex and in course of time for marriage as soon as she attains puberty. There is some kind of laxity towards premarital sex, but very important aspect of sex in tribal community is pregnancy must lead to ultimate marriage. That is, marriage between the pregnant woman and the man who is responsible for pregnancy. Whether it is premarital, extramarital or within the community, within the family, nothing matters. Ultimately, the modesty of the girl who has become pregnant will have to be cared for. So, the pregnant woman has to get married to the man who is responsible for the pregnancy. In this connection, I must refer you to a very interesting practice among the Maria Gonds of Bastar district in Madhya Pradesh in India. There is a place called Gotul, which is known as the Temple for Learning on Sex Behavior. Gotul building has an inner room and an outer room. Inner room is where the boys and girls get together in pairs. Actually, all the unmarried boys and unmarried girls in the age group of 12 to 24 assemble there in the Gotul premises every evening, and they drink and dance together in pairs till about midnight, after which the girls will be escorted home and boys continue to sleep there till they get married. The practices that go on there in the Gotul is supposed to lead the young boy and the young girl to understand the emotions and feelings of the opposite sex without actually getting into the complete sexual intercourse. That is how it is regarded as a temple for learning. We will now get into a little bit of technical aspect of life related to health care and birth of children, what demographers refer to as fertility and mortality. Fertility means the ability of a woman to bear children, that is the period between onset of puberty and menopause. Mortality literally means death. Mortality we refer to as infant mortality when the death of an infant takes place before the child completes 1 year. Maternal mortality, that means the mother dying after childbirth. We begin the details from the northeast zone, which includes Arunachal, Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim and Tripura. A few studies on fertility and mortality of individual tribes besides 2 studies on tribes in general were available from northeast zone. On the basis of the census data, Gogoi found that during 1961-71, the rate of growth of tribal population in northeast India was lower than that of the general population. This was mainly because of a very low natural growth rate of tribal population in the region itself. Regarding northern zone, which includes Himalayan belt of Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Darjeeling district of West Bengal, this zone has been better investigated and about 10 studies on individual tribes were available. Prakash and Malik showed that high altitude boards had higher fertility than the low altitude boards. They also had higher mean number of children as compared to the low altitude boards. The altitudinal differences in fertility have been explained in terms of socio-cultural factors such as education, awareness, urban contact, advancement in medical facilities which were higher at low altitude. Saxena in his study conducted among the Tharu and Buksa tribes of Uttar Pradesh reported that the Tharu and Buksa couples displayed a high level of fertility which was well reflected to achieve higher order births even at younger ages. Coming to the central zone, that includes West Bengal except Darjeeling district, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, eastern Maharashtra, Orissa and some parts of Andhra Pradesh. This zone has been investigated quite in depth and mortality rates were available. Ray and Roth studied the fertility pattern of Yuangs of Orissa. It was observed that the marital age specific fertility rate was highest among mothers in 20 to 24 year age group, whereas it was lowest among 45-49 year age group, which is normal going by what demographers call the fecundity concept. The total marital age specific fertility rate was 1.157 among the Yuang mothers. Sharma and Khan observed that the average fertility rate among Karwars of Sarjung district in Madhya Pradesh was 4.85. The highest reproductive stage, 9.67%, was observed in the age group of 40 to 44 years, and the pre-reproductive mortality was highest 6.84 among mothers in age group of 35-39 years. Coming to the western zone, Western Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Goa, Daman and Diu. Very few tribal studies on fertility and mortality aspects were available in this zone. Most studies showed the general trend of fertility and mortality among the tribes. Parasuraman and Rajan reported that there were significant differences in death rates among the tribal population in different states. It was high in Maharashtra, followed by Gujarat. Coming to the southern zone, which includes Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. The study of demographic and health determinants of infant deaths by Gurumurthy et al. Among the Sugali tribal group in Kalyanadurgam and Belaguppa blocks of Anantapur district of Andhra Pradesh pointed out that out of 348 infant deaths, 45.4% were neonatal, 54.6% were post-neonatal, about 25% infant deaths occurred due to dysentery, diarrhea and 20% due to maternal factors such as prematurity, birth injury, multiple birth, low birth weight, birth asphyxia and so on. Murthy and Ramesh also found a high fertility and mortality among the Pradhans of Adilabad district. Ghosh, while studying the Kota tribe of Nilgiri Hills, found that the average number of live births per woman aged 40 years or more to be 3.73. Also, the frequency or mortality before reproductive age 15 years was 30.8%. This also revealed high mortality and fertility among the Kota tribe. Murthy investigated the Soliga tribe in Karnataka in order to find out their fertility behavior. The crude birth rate, general fertility rate and total fertility rate among the Soligas were found to be always higher in comparison to the general population of Karnataka itself. Early age at marriage and low level of family planning acceptance seemed to be responsible for the high fertility among the Soligas. The completed family size among Soligas was 5.64. Island region including Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Agarwal found that among 45 ever married Onge women of the Andaman Islands, the mean number of children was 1.64 and the mean number of children per woman was 1.13. Infant mortality was high as revealed from the reproductive index, which was 0.51. Another important indicator of the quality of life of people is the concept of life expectancy. Life expectancy means the duration of existence, life that a person is likely to survive at the time of birth. Normally, it is known it is lower for women than men. It is not difficult to understand, because like in our villages, even among the tribal people, the intake of nutritional food is much lower among the women, mainly because of the practice of the woman in the family feeding the husband and all the children before having food herself. Normally, there goes a saying that woman eats whatever is left over. To add to this naturally occurring lifestyle of the woman in reduced nutritional intake, there is another dimension which has added on to it in more recent times. Thanks to deforestation, a good lot of medicinal herbs and other roots that women and people in general were consuming, they have disappeared from the forest, leading to a limited consumption of such food which was part of their daily intake in their traditional lifestyle in the tribals. Another important aspect regarding the health status of the community is childbearing and maternal mortality. Maternal mortality, as referred to earlier, is the women dying after childbirth. Childbearing imposes additional health needs and problems on women physically, psychologically and socially. The complications of pregnancy and of childbirth and of illegally induced abortions in areas where environmental and health conditions were adverse resulted in large numbers of female deaths. In India, the maternal mortality was around 500 per 10,000 live births, which was about 50 times that in a developed country or in the better off segments of the Indian society itself. Poor nutritional status with its concomitant problems of poor body weight, poor weight gain during pregnancy, low hemoglobin levels are some of the primary reasons underlying maternal mortality in India. More maternal deaths occurred in India in 1 week than in all of Europe in 1 year. Generally, malnourishment, poor medical facilities and unfavorable social conditions were the major underlying causes for high maternal mortality in India. Nutritional anemia, a serious problem in pregnancy, affected 50% of the women of childbearing age in Southeast Asia, according to a study conducted by Shiva. Expectant mothers to a large extent were not inoculated against tetanus. From the inception of pregnancy to its termination, no specific nutritional diet was consumed by women. On the other hand, some pregnant tribal women, that is Durkaryas, Santas, reduced their food intake because of the fear of recurrent vomiting and also to ensure that the baby may remain small, thus making delivery much easier. Crude birth rates and death rates. Birth rates among tribes in India are not too aberrant compared to the national average. The positive aspect to note is that sex ratio among tribes being in favor of females as noted earlier in this section. However, the death rates have normally been higher among the tribals against national average. This is often due to deaths occurring as a result of epidemics, victimizing the tribals, sometimes to the point of extinction, depending on how much remote and in isolation they are living. Marriage practices among the tribals are governed by three important practices: endogamy, exogamy, and consanguineous marriages. Endogamy means people who belong to the same group marrying among themselves. That is known as an in-marrying practice. Similarly, exogamy means people who belong to the same group are not allowed to marry. They necessarily have to marry outside of the group. That means there will be no marriage taking place among members of the same group. Here are a few details about the exact age at marriage among certain tribal communities in India. This based on certain micro-level studies which dealt with the age at marriage of individual tribes. Example, female age at marriage: Avonaga 16 to 20 years, Bhils 16 years, Chenchu after puberty, Khasi 13 to 18 years, Koli 12 to 16 years, Bodh 19 years, Gond 18 years, Munda 18 years, Orawa 16 years. Mean age at marriage of Jaunsards was 12.2 years, Dudhkarias 21.41 years, and Santals 17.87 years. In this lecture, we took a look into the practices among the tribal people with respect to health, healthcare, care of the mother, and care of the children. We took a look at the concept of virginity and onset of puberty among the tribals. We learned that virginity is not really a high virtue recognized by the people. But one thing very important, the pregnant woman must get married to the person responsible for pregnancy. That much of value is attached to the pregnant woman. But the normal trend is women take less nutritional diet and less regular diet compared to men. Quite like our rural mothers, tribal women also feed the husband and the children first, and they are known for consuming whatever is left over. We also looked into another important aspect of health in the community, that is the life expectancy. That is the number of years a man or woman is likely to survive after birth. Normally the trend is women have lower life expectancy than men. We also looked into the mortality rates of mother as well as infants and the general mortality rates in the community. We also tried to understand how the women practice their nutritional intake during pregnancy, and we learnt that women often tend to eat less, fearing vomiting as well as the size of the child that is going to be born, trying to keep it smaller so that the delivery is easier.